What is the difference between baking powder and baking soda? 1. Basic composition. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, is a single-ingredient chemical compound that requires an acidic component to activate it. On the other hand, baking powder contains both an acid, usually cream of tartar, and a base, baking soda, making it a complete leavening agent on its own. 2. How they work. When baking soda comes into contact with moisture and an acidic ingredient, like lemon juice, yogurt, or vinegar, it reacts and releases carbon dioxide gas, causing the dough or batter to rise. Baking powder, because it contains both an acid and a base, only needs liquid to start the leavening process. 3. When to use baking soda. Baking soda is typically used in recipes that already have acidic ingredients. For example, recipes for buttermilk pancakes, chocolate cake, or lemon bars often call for baking soda because the acid in these foods reacts with the soda, creating the desired lift. 4. When to use baking powder. Baking powder is used in recipes where no acidic ingredients are present. It is often found in recipes for cakes, cookies, and quick breads that do not include acidic components, making it a versatile leavening agent for neutral batters. 5. Single-acting versus double-acting baking powder. There are two types of baking powder, single-acting and double-acting. Single-acting baking powder reacts once when mixed with liquid, while double-acting baking powder reacts in two stages. Once when it's mixed with liquid and again when exposed to heat during baking. Most commercial baking powders are double-acting, ensuring a more consistent rise. 6. Taste differences. Baking soda has a strong, alkaline taste, which can affect the flavor of your baked goods if used in excess. That's why it's essential to pair it with enough acid to neutralize the flavor. Baking powder, however, is more neutral tasting due to its balanced acid-base composition, so it won't impact the flavor of your dish as strongly as baking soda. 7. Substitution rules. While they might seem interchangeable, baking soda and baking powder cannot be swapped directly in a recipe. If you're out of baking powder, you can make a substitute by combining 1 part baking soda with 2 parts cream of tartar. However, the reverse, using baking powder instead of soda, doesn't work as easily because baking powder already contains acid. 8. How much to use. Recipes that call for baking soda generally use smaller quantities compared to baking powder because it is more potent. Typically, baking soda is used in amounts of 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per cup of flour, while baking powder may be used in quantities up to 1 to 2 teaspoons per cup of flour. 9. Shelf life. Baking soda has a longer shelf life than baking powder. It remains active for several years if stored in a cool, dry place. Baking powder, however, has a shorter shelf life, especially once opened, and should be replaced every 6 to 12 months for best results. 10. The bottom line. Both baking soda and baking powder are essential leavening agents in baking, but they work differently. Baking soda requires an acid to activate, while baking powder contains both the acid and base needed for leavening. Understanding when to use each will improve your baked goods' texture, rise, and taste.